My name is Rob Carducci. I'm the CEO of Glow Lifetech, so really happy to be talking to you about Glow today. As usual, you've seen a lot of these forward-looking statements and disclosures. But who is Glow? So maybe just a hands up of those who know anything about Glow, just out of curiosity. Okay, good. Just helps me gauge. So the way we think about Glow is really we're a tech-enabled natural health company, okay? And we're really focused on revolutionizing the effectiveness of natural health products and cannabis products. So you might say, well, what does that mean? The best way we like to talk about ourselves really is we innovate like a tech company, but we operate like a natural health company or a cannabis company or really a CPG company. And so Glow really operates at the intersection of technology, pharma, and food. And it's at that intersection where we're able to bring cutting edge science and technologies and really apply it into the natural health space to deliver some more effective and enjoyable products that are really pushing the boundaries of innovation in that market. And right now is a really exciting time to be talking about Glow. We've got a lot of rapid growth behind us right now in the last, say, 6 quarters. We've really proven out this technology platform that we've built, and we're seeing real in-market success. And underpinning all that is a real high-margin, asset-light business model that is really churning out some really impressive, what we think impressive margins. So we've got a real clear line of sight to profitability in the early days of this business because we're really just getting started. And so what is Glow focused on? We'll start with the opportunity or really the problem that we're solving. And so what most people don't know about natural health products is that most of those natural health products you see down the aisle, they just don't work. And they don't work because they're not being absorbed into the body. And so that problem is called low bioavailability. And bioavailability is really the scientific term of how much of that active ingredient is actually being absorbed into the bloodstream. But most people, and you've got 7 out of 10 people in North America who are consuming botanicals, herbals, supplements, vitamins, don't realize that if that product started as an oil extract, the vast majority of that compound, you're just flushing down the toilet. And so I have a few examples. And this is why we also look at, say, cannabis and natural health as really one thing, because ultimately they start as an oil extract and they came from natural sources. And we really think consumers are consuming them for the same reason, ultimately, to get better health benefits, right? But if we talk about cannabis for a sec, and I think most have heard of CBD. Most people don't realize if you're taking a CBD tincture, only about 5% of that is actually bioavailable. So your body's only actually absorbing into the bloodstream about 5% of that oil. The rest of it is just being flushed down the toilet. Or in the nutraceutical world, you may have heard of curcumin. This is the active ingredient in turmeric. Most people are taking this for anti-inflammation, real high potential ingredient. Also a monster business already, but only about 2 to 3% of that ingredient that's notoriously poor bioavailability. Or maybe you've heard of an ingredient called CoQ10. This is $1 billion business in North America in the supplement world, and only about 3% of that is being absorbed in the body. And so what that means for us is you really have this big market, $800 billion being purchased a year. So it's really a mega category globally. It's not going away. But you've got a lot of lost efficacy. So a lot of products that just aren't working because they're not being absorbed properly. For the consumer, and even for the manufacturers, you've got a lot of waste in there because they're overdosing just so that you actually get any effect, right? And you're flushing a lot down the toilet. But really, it's about the untapped potential. These are really powerful and have high potential ingredients. They're just not being manufactured, processed, or packaged in a way that are effective or enjoyable for people, okay? And that's what really gets us excited is the potential of natural health products. And under that umbrella, we would say cannabis as well. But that's the problem we're solving, really, in the solution. And so our technology platform that we've built in partnership with a Swiss biotech called Swiss Pharmacan. It's called MyCell delivery system technology, okay? So delivery system technologies kind of does exactly what it says. This is about a technology that transforms these poorly absorbable ingredients and puts them in a way that they're water soluble and so that they actually deliver to your body, okay? And this is, basically pharmaceutical grade technology that has been around for 20 years, often used in, say, cancer treatment. And you can imagine if you got this really high valuable compound, you want to make sure the patient is absorbing it. And really, you're seeing a big trend of taking these really advanced science and bringing it into the food supplement world, and that's what we're doing. But ultimately, this is about, we can take this technology, vend any traditional, oil-based supplement, cannabis supplements, vitamins, and on the outside of that, you've got a more effective, more enjoyable, fast-acting product that is engineered for absorption. It's optimized to be absorbed in the body, okay? And the benefits, there's a whole slew of benefits. You got more effective ingredients, they actually work, they're fast-acting, instead of, everyone's kind of heard the edibles story, it takes 2 hours to feel it. These you feel in 15, 20 minutes. This pre-packaging also makes the dosing a lot more consistent and predictable, so less surprises, and that's really important for folks. But really the magic and what we spent a lot of time in the R&D side here is that we're able to do this using all natural ingredients. So there are other delivery system technologies out there that kind of live on a spectrum of food grade or pharma grade. But the most consistent thing is most of them are using synthetics or chemicals in that process. And that often translates into products that you actually taste the bitterness, you taste the chemicals. And anyone who's, my background's in CPG and food, if you don't develop great tasting products when you're ingesting, people won't buy it again. They might buy it once, but they won't buy it again and again. And that's what really long-term sustainable businesses are built on, repurchase. So what our technology does is it allows us to develop it all natural so it gets much better tasting. But also the long play for us is we believe that people are turning to natural supplements because they want natural ingredients, right? As people are learning about these technologies, they're starting to learn that there's these kind of hidden chemicals buried within them. And that's something that we put a lot of effort for the first couple years of our existence, was making sure we could do this all naturally, which is not the easy way, but it definitely is working out for us now. So ultimately what Glow really focuses on, what our business is we're really about unlocking a new era of natural health products, right? How do we push the boundaries of innovation from these traditional supplements that most are buying from either a Walmart or a grocery store or Shoppers Drug Mart or an Amazon, and they're not paying attention or aware even of the efficacy issues. But we really were born right about the time COVID was hitting, and that the market is really kind of coming towards us. There's a lot more folks that are paying attention and actually looking for effective products. And if we think if you draw that out, over the long term, more and more folks are going to be aware of the supplements that they're consuming. And so Glow's business, we try to think we have multiple facets to our business, and it gives us a lot of optionality. At the core of our business is a delivery technology platform, okay, a platform that works across a number of different ingredients. That platform allows us to create proprietary supplements or proprietary ingredients themselves, right? We then took those ingredients and created our own brands, our own in-house brands, Mod and Decimal, which we'll talk a little bit about. But all of this through the way is really leading to, it gives us the option to say, now that we have the technology, we have the ingredients, we have the brands, we're really building a portfolio that if we want to, we have a number of different ways to say license this out if we're thinking about global expansion, that we're thinking for the long term. So we're really building a portfolio of optionality for us as we think about what are the different ways we can grow this business. We can fine tune it depending on the markets that we're focused on. And so just a quick snapshot of, okay, what's been the results? We first did our first foray in the cannabis space, and part of that was because we knew, the market is a little less competitive relative to natural health. We believed we could win there, and our technology was superior. So at the end of 2023 and really ramping up mostly into 2024 is when we started to launch our two brands into Ontario. So we made the decision to focus in Ontario, not go across the country everywhere. We want to prove ourselves in the country's largest market and really establish a strong foothold there before we moved, because we knew that would help us actually speed up the process in the long term. So now we have 2 brands. I'll give you more detailed into those, but we keep a tight portfolio of 14 SKUs, but we're really growing at a rapid pace. So quite consistent year-over-year growth ever since we came to market. And from our perspective, because we've just started in Ontario, we still have a lot of runway to go. We still see ourselves as really early stage. In Ontario alone, we're in now over 1,000 doors in Ontario. There's 1,700 doors in Ontario, so we definitely see there's lots of runway to go there. But then there's about 3,500 doors, cannabis stores across the country, so very clearly a lot of growth there. And this chart really just shows in green, that's our revenue, and the line chart is distribution. And so our model is pretty straightforward to understand the growth. We get more doors, we get more revenue, and we just need to keep working that system and growing distribution. And frankly, the momentum is picking up. The most recent news that we announced was, earlier in the year, we announced we were launching in New Brunswick. We really just recently announced we're launching in Saskatchewan. And those were born out of the success from Ontario. Those customers that we're winning with are asking for it in other provinces. It makes it much easier to expand at a quicker pace. And we also are making major headways in Ontario with, I would say, the key accounts, the major accounts, the biggest accounts in the country. We are now penetrating those, and the big one we just announced was Fika. They have over 100 doors in Ontario, and that's also what helped us get launched in Saskatchewan. So the thesis is working. Our consumers are liking our products. The customers are liking how it's selling in their store. Our one brand has already achieved the number 2 oils brand in the category in Ontario. Again, number 2, and really the full portfolio has only been available for about 6 months. So we're really kind of disrupting that category. And in our capsules brand, we're number 7, and that's kind of just in terms of the order of operations of how we launch our brands, and we expect that to be a top brand. But really the story here is focused portfolio. We enter markets with a really disciplined go-to-market strategy, and we play to win. We want to own the segments that we play in. And so these were the 2 brands. We got Mod water-soluble drops and Decimal capsules. And so when I talked about our delivery system, technology platform, ultimately what that allows us to do is we've got this portfolio of ingredients. We can make everything from liquid THC, CBD, CBN, CBG, a whole host of every cannabinoid possible. Think of like little Lego building blocks, but we also have them in powder. And so you've got all these permutations of the ingredients at the core, and then we assemble them in a way, put them under a brand with a clear positioning and really innovative packaging formats and pricing strategy that sets them up for success to be competitive in the market and really win. And that's what's really led to our success. We are definitely outflanking companies that are much bigger than us, that have been in the market for 4 years, and in quick order we're taking category leadership there. But at a strategic role, why did we focus in on Canada? Why did we take it all the way to brands, right? We thought about, hey, maybe we should just be an ingredient supplier and sell our ingredients to other folks that want to power their brands. But what we quickly realized is, in Canada anyway, each province basically has a monopoly distributor, which is the government. And they control the listings. And there's such tight control and threshold to get listings in that province. We realized you might only ever get 1 or 2 products like this in that segment. So we said we just need to do it ourselves. So that's what we did. We said, who better to showcase the technology in this country than us? My background's in CPG. I worked at Nestle for a decade. So we know how to build brands. That wasn't the hard part for us. And so that's worked out for us. We've taken leadership. We've now showcased the technology. We clearly are winning with consumers because we're rising the ranks and continue to grow. But it also was about maximizing how much of that value stream profit we captured, right? We know you got to sell a lot more as an ingredient supplier than you would as capturing the full profit of owning the product itself. And so this has helped us really drive the business and sprint towards profitability and cash flow as fast as possible. A big priority for us. But ultimately, what this also did is it added, beyond the technology, we now have proven formulations. We have proven product formats and brands that as we think about global expansion, these are just more assets in our portfolio that we can think about how to grow with. The other thing that is, by design and not a mistake is our really great margins. The last quarter we were at 67% margins, and we are floating between 67 and 70% margins. And that's like day one, right? We haven't got to scale yet, but we really engineered this whole business top to bottom to be sustainable profitability, sustainable growth. And it really did start from day one. We knew from day one we wanted our manufacturing footprint to be lean. We produce everything for the entire country out of a 2,500 square foot facility, like smaller than this room. We can store the whole country, okay? We also operate our model in a factory. We don't need to own the facility. We don't even need to own the license. We essentially have a landlord, and we have our production in that space, but we could also pick up and leave whenever we needed to, right? If we decide to take our own space. So that also helped us keep our costs down. Small footprint, even the capital requirements for our business, compared to other cannabis businesses that are really capital intensive, we have a low capital intensity for this business. It's quite a few pieces of select high-tech equipment, but easy for us to scale up as we think about, say, global expansion. It doesn't take much to stand up another operation, really. But ultimately, what really wins is the fact that we develop products that are differentiated, and I can't stress that enough. The majority of products in the category are Me Too products, and they're complete substitutes. And what's really working for us is that we are different. Our technology is different, our packaging is different, the way we go to market and our positioning is different, and that's really helping us deliver that pricing power that is really standing heads above the rest of the market. Even those who are doing well from a margin perspective, we're a step ahead. We also expect that to continue, and if not, get better, because as we scale up, we'll get economies of scale that way. Okay. The other piece that was really important and a lot of intent behind was making sure that we cleaned up our balance sheet. So in 2024, there was a series of things that we did to really make sure we cleaned up the balance sheet and set ourselves up for long-term potential. We did a couple financings up in late 2024 that cashed up the business. The business has relatively little debt. This is very friendly debt that likely won't be around for too much longer. But we've got a really healthy balance sheet perspective. And that was by design. We wanted to control our own destiny, right? We could see the business is sprinting towards profitability and cash flow as fast as possible. We want to make sure we have a bit of a war chest so that we can still not do anything reckless and really think for the long term. And we're happy we made those moves. But ultimately, we've got real clear line of sight to profitability here. Some of the financials are in your booklet, but you're talking, last quarter we were $30,000 away from cash flow positive. And so we can see we're imminent to crossing that threshold, and we're really confident with seeing some of the customers that are showing interest, and obviously all the headroom that we've got across the country, that we will achieve these goals sooner rather than later. But ultimately, we talked about our technology. Right now, we're focusing on cannabis, but that's because that was a strategic move for us to get to profitability, get to cash flow, and it's where we could win and really prove out the technology. But we do got to remember that this technology, we actually, with our partnership with the Swiss, there's a whole suite of already commercialized natural health supplements with our European partners that, should we want, when the time is right, we could commercialize if we choose to. So this is a true platform where it's kind of one technology, but we can really take it into a number of different verticals if we think that's the right thing to do. And the other thing is it's incredibly versatile. So the fact that we can create liquids and powders, we can then take those powders and make capsules or things like gummies. So we've got a lot of innovation potential to keep the revenue growing and move ourselves into different adjacent categories as we continue to grow. And so what do we think about, how do we think about growth? But ultimately, we wanted to engineer our business plan really to have multiple avenues of growth. So in the short term, we're really talking about, we've got a lot of upside, and we said in Canada, in Ontario and across Canada. We also then could move ourselves into different categories should we want. We can make gummies, we can make beverages if we wanted, or topicals or stuff like that. We have the core ingredient that can infuse any ingestible product really. And then we could talk about, okay, what might a licensing approach look like? Perhaps that is the way we look at global expansion. It's either we do it ourselves, or we could look, if we wanted to do it faster, you might look at licensing these technologies or ingredients or brands around the world. And then last but not least, we also have the optionality of going into different verticals, same technology, but really attacking the natural health supplement space. And that's really where our Swiss partners are a real asset for us. Essentially, we have an R&D center of excellence in Switzerland that is really developing a pipeline and has already developed a pipeline of really forward-looking nutraceuticals that we can borrow and take and bring to market that are really already ahead of the curve. From a timing perspective, I would say, look, the next year or so, we'll still be focused on pushing Canada. I think next year, as depending on where we land in Canada, we would look at saying what does the rest of the world look like. We're not rushing to get there. We know it's first movers, not always a benefit there. We've got differentiated products, and the stronger we are in Canada, the stronger the business model and our cash generation. That will only help us make smart decisions long term for global expansion. And then I would say beyond that is when we would look at beyond cannabis, depending on where the state of the business at that time. From a cap structure perspective, so as I said, in 2024, we did some financings for just over 171 million shares. There are some warrants out there from those financings that actually expire in October and then March of next year, and then a smaller half warrant in April. So you can really see, as of March of next year, a lot of the warrant overhang will be gone. But an important note I just like to stress here. One is you've got real good alignment from the insiders' perspective. About 24% of the business is from insiders. That's core management and some strategic shareholders that have been with the business kind of from day one. But another piece I throw this as a consideration, because I know some folks look at the warrant overhang and think this thing's going to be pinned at 5 cents because that's where the warrants are at. I also just want to make it clear that 51% of those warrants are held by insiders, and so a real alignment. Those insiders you can see are not selling shares. So I think the next couple quarters are going to be really interesting. Some real clear catalysts as we get to profitability and clean up the cap structure even further as those warrants come off. A team, like everything else in our business, our team is really tight and lean. You got myself as CEO, background in CPG. Tom Glaudel is a PhD in engineering, really helped on the science side of things. Josh, CFO of some other public companies, deep public company experience there, and Brian, who came from Apotek's deep pharma operations experience. So real lean team, not really bloated on that front, and keeps us agile and able to move really quickly. And so really to wrap it up, what we've really built is we're really confident about the near future, really, and that we've got a really solid foundation, healthy foundation. We've got these differentiated brands that are proven success in the market. A really healthy business model underpinning that is only going to get stronger as we go. But then we also got some really good long-term potential that we're leaving ourselves a number of vectors of ways to continue to grow, and a deep pipeline of innovation for the future.